Difficult situation with my employer reducing salary due to moving to a different city and trying to purchase a home. This sounds pretty horrible, honestly. So I'm looking for some advice on how to handle a situation I'm in with my employer. I am purchasing a home in a different city in my state about 20 miles away. My girlfriend and I have applied for a home loan, and we were approved and in the process of finalizing and closing on the home on 6/30. The issue is that I work from home for my employer at home position, not due to the pandemic, and was required to put in a move form to move my work location to my new address. The issue comes in that my employer just informed me yesterday that they will be reducing my pay by $2.50 an hour due to the new location, cost of living, taxes, etc. in the new location. When I submitted all the paperwork for the home loan, it was based on my current salary. Now that it is going to be reduced and I have signed the paperwork to finalize or close on the home, I feel like there's going to be an issue where the lender might need to be informed of this and could potentially cause us to not be able to get the loan. I am just at a loss as to why the reduction in wages were so much, or if the lender would need to be made aware because we haven't signed the closing documentation yet. My employer is a large corporation, so I don't think they will have sympathy or be willing to negotiate on the reduction. I am going to speak with them today on it, but just wondering if anyone had been in a similar situation or what should be done, if anything. I feel like my employer is going to be keeping me from being able to get my new home. Edit. I have gotten confirmation from my employer stating that the reduction in pay won't happen until after we have signed and closed on the home. So let's kind of like break this down and give our viewpoint on this, right? So purchasing a home in a different city in the same state, only 20 miles away, should not really be a big factor, because the thing is 20 miles away is not far for a commute, right? There's people making an hour-long commute, 2 hours long commute, even like 3-hour-long commutes, which is pretty nuts. But some people are doing that. But I mean, like depending on like the location and stuff, this is maybe like 20-30 minutes, depending on like the traffic, whether or not if it's like purely highway or not. Like that's not much of a commute, right? Like I don't really understand why you have a massive drop on your pay per hour. Now again, I don't know what the pay per hour is in this situation, but $2.50 drop in a pay per hour situation is pretty dramatic, right? Like think about that for a second, right? You're going to move 20 miles away, basically, let's just say like 20 minutes away, right? For $20, like let's say like you were to get basically, let's say you work like a 10-hour work day, right? Like you work 10 hours per day, Monday through Friday, right? So that's what, like 10 times 250. So that's what, $25? Well, like, I mean, $20.50 per day. Like, that's horrible, right? That is absolutely horrible. You're almost losing what, like over $100 per week just from doing this. Is it worth it? Like, I don't know how much this person's actually making, like per hour, but is it worth it to lose another $100 per week, depending on, how many hours you end up working per week? Like, this is kind of like a situation that you have to really start thinking like more long term. Like, if a company is willing to decrease your pay by this amount for you moving 20 miles away, 20 minutes away, when you work at home, so it should not even matter, right? It should not even matter. You work from home, okay? You work from home. That should not even matter. Now, this might be a different situation if you're moving to like a different state that has like no income taxes. That's completely different, right? Because then the company would be thinking like, okay, why are we paying you this much when you're not paying these types of taxes, blah, 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 right? Like that's a whole different conversation than you just moving 20 minutes away in the same state, but a different city. And you're getting basically paid $100 less per week, right? When you work at home and there's no difference between that. There's no difference between that. Like, so I don't understand why your company is like literally like shoving a fork up your butt and then twisting it, because this is absolutely horrible, right? And this really has to make you think long term, like I mentioned, should you be really staying at this company if they're willing to do that to you for 20 minutes of like moving away that has no impact on your actual job? Like that just seems absolutely insane, right? So this might be a situation where like, okay, since I'll probably actually get this in writing, by the way, for like the whole confirmation that they're not going to reduce your pay till after you have signed the thing. I would get that in writing. And then on another side, you probably shouldn't even be doing this, because why are you getting a home loan with your girlfriend, right? You need to get married before you get a freaking home loan, okay? Now, if it's a situation where you end up just getting a home loan, or she just gets a home loan and you end up being like a renter, or she ends up becoming a renter, that's a different situation, right? That's actually a lot better situation than both of you being on the same loan for a mortgage, right? Think about that. You know how crazy it would be if like one of you passes away or one of you cheats on the other and completely destroys the relationship or something, and then you got to deal with all that headache? Like, people need to be really careful when they end up buying a house with someone, because if you're not legally bound to that person, it's going to make it very dirty and very sketchy if something most likely could happen and it end up massive mayhem. It's basically like having a nuke next to a lighter that is next to a rat with a match. Think of like Tom and Jerry, basically. This is kind of like a Tom and Jerry situation, and there's most likely something bad going to happen. There's something most likely going to be super, massively, horrible, bad situation happening in this whole situation, because there's just so many things wrong with this, right? You should not be buying a home with a girlfriend, right? You should most likely not be moving if it's going to cost you $100 per week at minimum, right? You probably shouldn't be working for a company that is willing to screw you over like this in this situation, right? And geez, if you don't get this in writing either, there's going to be so many issues in this situation. Like, people got to like think way more long term. And I understand that this person really wants to get like a new home, right? Like, they really want to get a new home, and they're like afraid that, their employer's basically, potentially screwing them over and all that kind of stuff, which they technically are definitely screwing them over. But at the same time, this kind of goes to show you that when you do not have a strong foundation, bad things can easily happen, right? For example, if you had a really strong foundation where you had like no debt, no like really hard expenses that you got to deal with, right? You have a lot of cash sitting in the bank and a lot of investments. This type of situation wouldn't even matter to you, because if something were to happen like this, you'd be like, oh no, I'm going to go work for another company. I'm going to apply to another company, and within the next 6 months, if they pay me the same as you, I'm just going to go work for that other company and then move and not deal with this nonsense, right? Like, I'm just not going to care about this company at all because they don't even treat me right. And that's if you have a strong foundation, you could do something like this. But this person most likely can't do something like this. And not to mention, having a girlfriend instead of someone that you're married to before you get like a home loan together, that's a very rocky foundation. Like, that is basically trying to climb a mountain with no toe holds, no finger holds, no rope, nothing to hook onto anything, no powder to like dry the sweat off your hands to like grab something a little bit better, right? Like, this is a super dangerous situation, and I don't think this person realizes just how bad this can actually be, right? Because you're going to be making less money. You're going to have a loan with someone that you are not married to that could leave at any point or completely screw you over. And then 3, you're going to be stuck in a company that you know purposely screwed you. Like, you know, they just purposely screwed you over, right? So feel free to share this with someone that needs to like see something or hear something about this, because my God, this is horrible, right? Like, no one should be in this situation. And if anyone were to ever find themselves in this situation, you really got to make a plan to get into a better situation, because this is horrible. This is like, you see that banana peel on the ground and you know it's there. And you know that if you walk 2 steps in front of you, you are going to step on that banana peel and then slip on it and then fall on a fork sticking in the air, and it's going to hit you in the neck. You know this is going to happen, but you're still thinking about doing it. And you're most likely going to be doing it, even though you know you're going to slip on a banana, and there's a high likelihood that you are going to self-impale yourself on the neck with a fork, right? So just keep this in mind. You got to have a strong foundation, and you got to have a very strong plan, or at least a clear plan to your, like, toward your future as to what you're going to be doing, right? Because this is probably one of the worst foundation situations I've seen in a while. And this can get so bad so quickly. Yeah. Feel free to watch more or listen to more episodes. Check out 40inbox.com. You could actually contact us with your own personal finance question or story. And if it's a story, try to be as descriptive as possible and make it super fun. Like, if you have like a super fun personal finance story, just contact us with that and we'll try to turn it into a future episode. I think that'd be super cool. You can learn the secret to mastering your money below, down in the description. And you can also learn to make money online below as well. We'll see you in future episodes. But my goodness, try to keep a very strong foundation so that you don't get into this situation, because this person's getting slapped in literally every single direction.